There's something that cannot be expressed in words. Human emotion. Emotions of the heart can't just be tucked away in a closet. There's a way to know the emotions. Look into the eyes. The girl lied to me, and I believed her. The gentleman lied to me when I trusted him. But the moment I looked into his eyes, the angel of destiny began to unravel the truth. Just look into their eyes. There is only one truth. Those who make mistakes blame themselves and close their hearts. It's impossible to fix the mistake. Men can't return to the past. That's why they drink. Lushes, drunks, sliding alcohol down their throats to dilute the memories that can't be forgotten. Frank Marlin, the gunsmith, does nothing but drink, and he questions the glass after it's empty. Am I wrong? Was I wrong? The past that can't be forgotten, that can't be buried. The past that can't even be shaken for just a little time. The sentiment deep inside each of their hearts is strong and equal. For beloved parents, or for a beloved daughter, two men can only find the answer from behind their triggers. The moment the sentimental bullets flew towards each other, the men stood silent, yet were weeping. Past in slaves. Whenever something is gained, something is always lost. It's difficult to live after something like that. What is lost will never return. Important things, irreplaceable things. But what is needed to keep those things is in the firm will, packed into one bullet. Man knows. He knows that nothing will begin unless he speaks, and that nothing will change unless he moves. The longer one holds on to a memory, the longer one lives in the past. The deeper the memory they hold on to, the more beautiful the past will become. Beautiful memories will eventually turn into hate. Even if they look ahead, they lose the ability to walk. As long as the heavy chain called revenge continues to bind the heart, the tears of sadness will continue to flow. The tragedy endlessly repeated in order to fulfill desires. The lust for conquest making people bend to your will. A thrill intense enough to make you shudder. There's a man who is a slave to that ecstasy. The leader of the Badlands. A man who shines brilliant as dynamite's neon. The sand steamer will shake the moment the huge dynamos on each of his shoulders start to spark. In the pitch black darkness, the gruesome party begins. People who sin say this, that they had to survive. People who sin say this, it's too late now to stop. The shadow called sin dogs them steadily from behind, silently, without a word. Remorse and agony are repeated, only to end up at despair in the end. But the sinners just don't know that if they only turn around, there is a light there, a light which keeps shining on them ever so warmly, a light that will never fade. I met a lone man in the desert, a traveling priest, Nicholas D. Wolfwood. He smiled, and then he told me that I'm a troubled man. Faced with his all-seeing smile, there was nothing I can say in my defense. Did I meet this man because I was destined to? Or was it simply by a small jest of God? The man's name is Nicholas D. Wolfwood, a traveling priest I met in the desert. I think I'd like to do something nice for somebody. I think it's good if you smile at someone and they smile in return. Voluntary love encourages people to create a sense of friendliness. Love that is unconditional gives us respect as people. However, it's wrong to force love, to try to keep it alive. If the strain goes on, eventually it'll bloom into the flower called lie, the deceptively thorny flower that hurts people. A choice between two things, a forked road, a crossroad, where men given life must take in order to stay alive. Whichever end they live on, they lose something. Whichever end they live on, they are unable to find happiness. But are there really only two paths to a forked road? No, there are infinite paths we must take. There is more than one path. There is more than one path to the future. All people have a sanctuary which must never be touched, a scar of sadness which must never be tread upon, a cooperation formed by the living to realize a dream or achieve an ideal. The man with the white coat told me in a quiet voice that he had finally found me, that he wanted my life. That man smiled a smile deeper than darkness, legato blue summers. A man fascinated by death only spoke quietly.
Routine report, date July 20th. 2 days after the incident caused by a man named Monev, tension still runs high in the city. The events that occurred there made me realize something all over again. It's an awareness which becomes obscured as I keep regular contact with him. That being, the reason Vash the Stampede is called the humanoid typhoon. Yet I still don't understand. Why is it that so much trouble falls into this man's lap?
If you only face forward, there is something you will miss seeing. It is a virtue to devote oneself to something, firmly believing in one's own ideals. But that does not mean it's all right to belittle the ideals or feelings of others. If you lead such a busy life and you don't realize how your parents feel, it's only self-satisfaction. It's all right to stop every now and again if you want a moment's rest, if you want to feel what other people feel. People judge people. Lives are being cut short because of someone's personal logic. Mothers, fathers, friends, their entire past instantly vanishes into thin air. The question is, should this take place at the whim of one individual? A beautiful woman stood before the corpses of the Roderick thieves. She told me that she was merely discarding some useless garbage. Dominique the Cyclops told me to just think of it as spring cleaning. A fragment of memory lost in the gap between life and death. Is it something which will point the way to spiritual awareness? The silver metallic gun crushes, and my right arm metamorphoses. My past, my people, my mother. The moment I was reunited with everything I ever protected, the light took Augusta. The humanoid typhoon, the $60 billion double-dollar man, Vash the Stampede. This is the beginning of my past. This is the end of my journey.
Rem told me that someone she loved died on Earth. She told me she boarded this ship so she could start over. What does it feel like to have someone you love die? I tried thinking of what it would be like if Rem died. When I did, hot water came out of my eyes and it wouldn't stop for a long time. Rem, I'll always be there for you. I won't leave you alone.
Let us regard the fifth moon, shining down upon us from the skies, stained red with blood. And let us remember his name, his legend. To do so, you only need to look up. Like it or not, his legend is chiseled into the fifth moon, a permanent etching from a terrible past. The legend of Vash the Stampede, chiseled, forever. And then the time comes, you only need tell of the tracks, which lead to the future. Strong will can stir the heart, but a will too strong can cut off the heart's visibility. The sorrow of a man bereaved of his family turns into hate, which eventually metamorphoses into the intent to kill. The man's finger reaches for the trigger. Sins change people. Sin begets sin. But I still want to believe. I want to believe in the heart that feels the sin. In times of hardship, in times of sadness, there's a place the traveler can let his mind return to. Home. I still don't know what kind of a past the traveler abandoned when he left his home behind. I still don't know what kind of sorrow he bears, but the traveler can keep walking forward because he has something which sustains him, a place which accepts him. He can walk forward, step by careful step. There's something you can't give up. There's something you want to protect. There's a time we must take a stand, no matter what kind of pain awaits us. The man clad in the red coat took up his gun once again, in order to stop the sadness, in order to stop the hate. I keep the word of the red geranium, which I was taught so long ago. I keep the courage and determination deep in my heart. Self-protection, the means of protecting oneself. People expose the weaknesses which pain them, and thus form a group. Before they know it, they begin to exclude those who are not one of them. But what becomes of those who have been excluded? I smiled at the children who lived in a tight group, in their rickety house. Sure, let's live today, let's live tomorrow, and let's live the day after that, even if it means living in eternal pain. To realize a mistake, to not lie, to love one another, to not kill. Those are very simple things, but these times won't allow for them. There is no green on this planet, even though we want it, and want it so badly. A place where we can live peaceful days with no wars, nor stealing. A sacred place where people can live as people. Yes, there. That place is called.
Repeated tragedies, repeated pain. The wishes of a man are so strong, and yet so frail and weak. To live, to stay alive. Who would have known that survival was this hard, this painful? I must choose. I must make the choice. In the moment that intertwines life and death, can I choose to remain a human? I was dreaming, Rem. Everything was so horribly dry. There on that planet. Even people's hearts. As I watched the people who lived there from far away, I kept wondering why they went on living. How they kept on living. Rem, listen to me, Rem. I did a bad thing. I did a bad thing. Tell me, what should I do?
That day, that time, 130 years ago, we were born, weren't we? There was nothing but peaceful days, and Rem was always close behind us. But our disagreeing thoughts changed each of our ways of life, didn't they? I don't regret it. I will vow once again not to kill, not to betray, but to find happiness, to talk about my dreams, because the ticket to the future is always blank.